We are live, ladies and gentlemen. What is going on? I'm up here for my live review, breaking down everything that took place on last night's edition of Monday Night Raw, the February 18th, 2019 edition of Raw. It has been a long time since I've done a Raw review on a consistent basis, but hope to be doing that for you guys once again. We certainly have a lot to talk about coming out of this episode of Monday Night Raw. There were several NXT call-ups that we saw made their debut on last night's edition of Monday Night Raw. But before we get into that, there was just one thing that really kind of irked me about Raw last night, and that is the crowd. It was just terrible. I mean, there's just no way around it. Lafayette, Louisiana. I don't know what you guys were doing, but you just sat on your hands and feet. And I actually thought I enjoyed Raw for the most part. Wasn't a perfect show. It never is. But I thought it was better than what we've gotten in the last number of weeks. But the crowd, I mean, why would you go to a show and sit on your hands and feet? I mean, I deal with this in Pittsburgh a lot. The crowds aren't usually that hot. Try and start some chants. Try and have a good time. And nobody reacts to anything. It's just like, I understand even if the show isn't that good, but at least do something. And they didn't react to hardly anything. I mean, Triple H could hardly get them excited. A little bit of reaction for Finn Balor. I mean, Bayley and Sasha Banks came out, so it's just like, and they didn't even react to them as the new women's tag team champions. So it's just like, that did hurt my enjoyment of the show, because I always could say this. A good crowd can take an average show and turn it into a good show. It can take a good show and knock it down a peg. And I felt like that's what happened on Raw last night. Although going forward, I think they're going to be in Atlanta, Philadelphia. They'll be in Pittsburgh. So Philly, obviously Brooklyn for WrestleMania. So Chicago, I know, is on that list. So the crowds should be better. It's just Lafayette, man. This was one of the worst crowds I've heard in a long time. Be that as it may, there was a lot that I did enjoy on this episode of Raw. And we'll start with the in-ring segment with Triple H. So he kind of just runs down. We're on the road to WrestleMania, talks about the results from the Elimination Chamber, and of course, did a video on this earlier in the week. He noted that D-Generation X will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. And he also talked about the fact that, he's in charge of NXT. And he mentioned that this was the third brand for WWE. So it'll be interesting to see going forward, how NXT talent is integrated. And he noted that a bunch of NXT talent will be on Raw tonight. And this consisted of Aleister Black, Ricochet, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa. And he also announced that there would be a table match between Braun Strowman and Baron Corbin. So I like the infusion of this talent of NXT. Yeah, you could argue, there should have been more build-up, should have did vignettes. And I like when they do vignettes and, announce this talent is coming, this is who they're all about. But I did like the video packages that they did while Triple H was talking about these NXT talents. I thought Michael Cole actually did a decent job explaining to at least the viewing audience who these guys are. Because remember, no matter how much we love NXT, it doesn't appeal to the entire WWE fan base. I wish it did. But I would like to know the number of people that watch NXT on a weekly basis. Raw gets, 2.5 million viewers, 2.6, 2.7 occasionally. So I wonder how many of, how much of that viewing audience is aware of NXT. I'd say it'd be about half. So that was great to see. And then we had a tables match, which I actually thought wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I was happy to see that Braun Strowman hit the running power slam and put Baron Corbin through a table and won. So hopefully that ends this feud, because coming out of Elimination Chamber, so we got a little bit of 50-50 booking here. Corbin won with the help of Lashley and McIntyre, who were nowhere to be seen during this match. So that left me kind of scratching my head there. I'm like, so what was the point of them helping Strowman if there's not going to be any interaction here on Monday? Not that I'm complaining, though. Continuity aside, I really wasn't interested in that angle that they did at Elimination Chamber. So like I said, Braun Strowman wins. And hopefully he moves on to something else. What that is at WrestleMania, I have no idea. His momentum has really, 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 really cooled off since his injury, like I said, in that terrible promo he cut on the first episode of Raw in 2019. There was an interesting interaction between Strowman and Heyman. He grabbed Heyman by the jacket, and I don't know if this is teasing. I don't know what this is going to lead to. Probably nothing, but I just wanted to mention that. I don't think they're going to add Strowman to the Universal title mix at WrestleMania. It's just, no. I wouldn't want to see it. I have no interest in seeing Strowman and Lesnar, seeing as how Lesnar beat him every single time. So we have Heyman come out, and he introduced a video that was narrated on himself why, Brock Lesnar will defeat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. I actually thought that the 2 video packages they did on Lesnar here, despite how we may feel about Brock Lesnar and his frequent absences as Universal Champion, and I cannot wait for him to drop that title. I pray to God he drops that title to Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. I actually thought this was a nice video compilation talking about what Brock has and all that he has accomplished not only in WWE, UFC, and of course his eventual return to WWE in 2012. We then had Finn Balor come down to the ring, talking about how proud he was to become the new Intercontinental Champion. Happy for Finn to finally pick up that gold. Long overdue for him to have a title here in WWE. The last time he held gold was the Universal Championship, and that was all the way back in 2016. So it's been a long time for Finn Balor since he held any type of championship in WWE. I think he could be a solid Intercontinental Champion here on Raw. And one scenario that I have, I keep saying this, I think Finn's going to hold that title past WrestleMania, have a nice run with it, get drafted over to SmackDown, and we move the U.S. title back over to Raw. So I think those 2 titles are the most likely to change brands. I don't see him swapping WWE and Universal title. Just don't see it happening. You never know. It could. You could always move Seth to SmackDown, and if Daniel Bryan retains his title, Daniel Bryan to Raw. But be that as it may, I was so happy for Finn having that Intercontinental title. And just reading on from here, we had Lio Rush interrupt Finn Balor. And him and Bobby Lashley begin to attack Balor from behind, and Ricochet would come down and make the save. We got a nice little impromptu tag team match here. This is certainly one of the highlights of this episode of Raw. Ricochet and Finn Balor teaming up versus Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush. And when Ricochet got that tag, man, he was flying throughout the ring. He was just going balls to the walls. And it was great to see Ricochet here on Monday Night Raw. Whether he's on Raw or SmackDown, wherever he ends up, I think Ricochet has potential to be a breakout star for WWE. He just has to get acquainted with that casual audience. And we'll see if this is just a 1-week thing. See, with Ricochet, I think, he doesn't have a title on NXT. I think he could be, out of the 4 here, I think he's the one most likely to be called up on a permanent basis to the main roster. That's just my opinion. Like I said, I thought he had a nice showing here. He threw Lio Rush back into the ring and hit the 630 for the win. So Finn Balor and Ricochet pick up the win here. And I think these 2, if you want to have an excellent Intercontinental Championship match at WrestleMania 35, I think Ricochet versus Finn Balor would be the match that I'd like to see, and I'm sure a lot of you out there would like to see. So, yeah, we'll see if they go in that direction. There's a little backstage segment later on in the night between Ricochet and Finn Balor, so we'll see if that leads to anything. Maybe Balor turns on Ricochet, and I don't know. I thought maybe they were going to go in that direction. They could. I think a Finn Balor heel run would be really interesting to watch, because Balor's been babyface ever since his debut in WWE, going all the way back to NXT. So I think a heel Finn Balor versus Ricochet program for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, that would be nice. If Ricochet is up here on a full-time basis, but that remains to be seen. We then had Drew McIntyre backstage. He asked Triple H for a shot at Seth Rollins tonight. Dean Ambrose walked in, and he slapped Drew right in the face. And he said, "Do you want to switch your request to Ambrose?" And McIntyre agreed. And this, of course, we're jumping around here later on in the night. led us to Drew McIntyre versus Dean Ambrose. Not really much of a match here. Didn't go that long at all. McIntyre hit the Claymore kick. Hits another Claymore kick on Dean Ambrose for the win. So it really makes me wonder. I still think Dean Ambrose is on his way out, just seeing as how he's been losing. He did pick up a win last week against EC3, but that really wasn't much of anything. And later on, Rollins was doing an interview about Brock Lesnar. Said Lesnar needs to accept his fate. And if Rollins has to leave on a stretcher, he is going to leave with the title. Ambrose walks in, and Ambrose asks Rollins, where was he? He wasn't out there. And Rollins asks Ambrose if he's lost his mind. Ambrose just goes, and walks away. So Dean's done with his heel run, which honestly was so underwhelming. I put that both on creative, not giving Ambrose enough to do, and just, I don't know. The feud with Rollins kind of floundered as well, so I'm not sure what's going on with Dean Ambrose. Will he leave? Is it all a work? We'll have to stay tuned to find out. Going back here, Lucha House Party versus Hawkins and Ryder. Lucha House Party win. Nothing really too much to say there. This bizarre segment, Heavy Machinery are talking about stakes and weights, are being interviewed on the ramp. Lacey Evans walks out, waves to the crowd, walks back up the ramp. I don't know what the hell this was all about. And then Dozer and Tucker Knight mock Evans by strutting down the ramp as well. And I just tweeted, what the hell? What was the point? Does somebody tell me, what was the point of all this? Why is Lacey Evans just randomly showing up, waving, and then leaving? I mean, if she was going to do that, she should have shown up on the 25th anniversary of Raw, because we all know what happened on that show. They brought all these legends back just to wave to the crowd. There's like no creativity goes into this show, I swear. And this recent batch of NXT call-ups, why would you call them up if you're not going to do a damn thing with them? Nikki Cross, done nothing with. EC3, where the hell's he been? Dozovich and Tucker Knight, they were fun act in NXT, and now they're just doing nothing. And who else? Lacey Evans, she waves. Has anybody seen, what's his face, Lars Sullivan? I don't think so. So if you're going to call these people up, just have a plan. Is that too much to ask for, to actually plan this shit out instead of ripping the script up hours before the show goes on the air, or in some cases while the show's going on the air, you're rewriting the show? That's never a good sign. So I don't know what the hell's going on here, and it's just frustrating to see. Revival versus Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Man, I could have watched these two go another 10 to 15 minutes. Could have given these two a whole half hour on Raw, and that would have been awesome. These two, they had a good match here. Once again, was hurt by the lack of a crowd reaction, which was disappointing to see. But I still enjoyed this match. These two just have excellent chemistry here. And what surprised me in this match was the fact that Gargano and Ciampa hit their finish on Scott Dawson for the win. The stereo kicks to the head. I didn't know how they would go about this. Does this mean that they're going to face the Revival for the Tag Team Championships? I mean, they pin the champions. Logically, wouldn't that dictate that Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa are the number one contenders? But they're both champions in NXT. So we'll see what direction they go in here. But I thought it was a solid match. And like I said, they could have given them another 10 minutes, and I would have certainly enjoyed this. We then had Bayley and Sasha Banks come down to the ring to no crowd reaction, because this crowd wasn't reacting to anything. And they talked about that they're going to defend the titles on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Nia Jax and Tamina come out, and Jax says every time Banks defends the title, she loses it. Tamina gets up on the apron. Bayley knocks her off. Jax tries to roll into the ring, but Banks almost locks in the Banks statement, and Tamina and Nia go to the back. So it looks like for Fastlane, I'm assuming, because this pay-per-view is only, 2 weeks away after this? I mean, it's just like, why do we need another pay-per-view between now and WrestleMania? I still ask myself that. I could see it being Nia Jax and Tamina versus Bayley and Sasha Banks. Now, there was an interesting bit of social media on Twitter, and I have this on my Twitter page. So Bayley retweeted Trish Stratus, who talked about, proud moment, the right ones for this amazing and historic opportunity. Ladies, here's the ball. Sasha Banks and Bayley, the first ever WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. And actually, I'm going to screenshot this right now. So give me a minute here. There we go. So you can see the tweet right here from Trish Stratus. And then you can see here what Bayley retweeted. Are you ready? Are you and Lita ready? So, like I said, they said they defend against past and present teams. I think a money match would be Bayley and Sasha Banks versus Trish and Lita. Will that happen? We'll see. But I would like to see it. Let me know what you guys think in the chat and comments section. Moving on here, we had Elias, who hit the ring. Was going to play a song, but he was interrupted by Aleister Black. It was great to see his entrance here on Monday Night Raw. I think Black has the potential to be a huge star here for WWE. I would keep him on the Raw brand. I know a lot of you would rather see him on SmackDown, but I think with the right creative booking, I think he could thrive on the Raw brand. And, of course, Black hit the Black Mass kick on Elias for the win. So all NXT talent on this show tonight were victorious. I thought, they had a nice little match here, Elias and Aleister Black. Like I said, I wish the crowd, by this point, the crowd was completely dead. There was no way you were going to revive them. But the right guy went over here on Aleister Black, and him and Ricochet, I could see being permanent call-ups. Like I said, Gargano, Ciampa, they have a lot of unfinished business on NXT, and especially holding those titles. I think it's more likely that they remain on NXT, and Aleister Black and Ricochet are permanent call-ups. That's how I'm seeing it. We then had a rematch from Elimination Chamber. How? I don't know why. Seeing as Ruby Riott lost in, a minute 40? But I have to say, I wish this was the match that we got at Elimination Chamber. Ronda Rousey versus Ruby Riott, Raw Women's Championship. I thought Ruby looked good here. She had certainly a much better showing than the minute 40 she had at the Elimination Chamber. Some nice near falls, some back and forth action here. And Rousey was able to lock in the armbar, tap out Ruby Riott, and Ronda Rousey is still your Raw Women's Champion. And that's how we go off the air here for Monday Night Raw. So, yeah. My thoughts, my overall thoughts on this show, I thought it was solid, but I thought it was hurt by the crowd. There was a lot that I liked on this show when it came to the NXT call-ups. They certainly injected some much-needed life here on this show. It'll be interesting to see going forward if they're permanent, or was this just a one-week thing? And before I go off the air here, let's take a look at my Twitter poll. 57% thumbs up, 43% thumbs down. So I'm at about a B for Raw. That is going to be my grade for this episode of Monday Night Raw. So that does it, guys, for my live Raw review. I want to say thank you all for watching. Be sure to click my like and subscribe button here at youtube.com/DanielGuys412. For all my latest thoughts, be sure to follow me on Twitter at DanielGuys412. Check out my Facebook page, facebook.com/DanielGuys1994. And be sure to follow the Kane Action Team as well on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. That is Kane Action Team, the preeminent stunt team in Akron, Ohio. So once again, thank you all for watching this video. I will be back up here for another video whenever that may be. And until then, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you later on.